accessibility. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and we'll kick it off. All right, so the web is a vast place where information, ideas, and entertainment merge together to provide a transparent, life-enriching experience. It's a special medium where anyone from just about anywhere can come together and share their perspectives on life, obtain live information otherwise unavailable elsewhere, and engage in conversation and information sharing with anyone from just about anywhere else. As web developers, I think it's our responsibility and duty to create and curate feature-rich applications that are consistently usable across all types of platform and for all types of user. And that's just a screenshot of my computer desktop. It's okay. So what is web accessibility? Well, according to the w3.org website, web accessibility means that people with disabilities can use the web. More specifically, web accessibility means that people with disabilities can perceive, understand, navigate, and interact with the web, and that they contribute to the web. Web accessibility also benefits others, including older people with changing abilities due to aging. So for the next couple minutes, I'm going to just go over some types of disabilities just to be aware of when developing websites. We have visual disabilities, low vision or partial sight. So people with low vision may suffer from extreme forms of short-sightedness or long-sightedness, or their vision may be blurred or unclear in other ways. When interacting with websites, people with low vision may typically need to do one or more of the following. They may need to adjust the size of text on their browser. They can also use assistive software to magnify the web page, override the style of web pages to use high contrast color schemes, or use screen readers and or braille displays. And that's from coolfields.co.uk, which was a cool site. So low vision or partial sight continued. These things sort of make life difficult for people with low vision or partial sight. Fixed height text that cannot be resized, semantically connected items that are some distance apart, i.e. form labels and input boxes are too far apart, color contrast, busy page backgrounds, using color to only to convey meaning, and dynamic updating of content from some distance from focus. Yeah. So we also have blindness. Blindness itself has degrees and there is a legal measure in a number of countries. People who are legally blind may still have some residual vision or only the ability to tell light from dark. Typically, blind users will have extreme difficulty using websites as sighted people would. And this is sort of where screen readers kind of come into play. If you can imagine not being able to use your mouse or your eyes at all, you know, how would you manipulate anything on the computer? Okay. So, like I said before, people who are blind will use a screen reader or braille display. And these are some things that sort of make life difficult. Images without appropriate alternate text, that would be sort of like the alt attribute on an HTML tag. Badly or inappropriately marked up pages or forms, poorly worded links, pages with incorrect or non-unique titles, pages without headings. Headings are actually really important, just to allow a user to know exactly where and of what importance things on a page are. And then finally, AJAX updates. So there's also color blindness. Mostly when interacting with websites, people with color blindness won't need to use any special techniques. However, the following features can make life difficult. Insufficient color contrast between text and background, and the use of colors alone to indicate meaning. Whoops. Motor impairments. Users will rely solely on a keyboard interaction with web pages. They may use specialized keyboard switches or other input devices. They may use voice recognition software, and they may use head pointers or eye gaze systems. Motor impairments continued. These things make life difficult. Functionality that cannot be operated by keyboard interaction. Pages where keyboard focus is not clearly indicated. Links or form objects, radio buttons that have a small target area. Redirects to another page or element triggered solely by changing values in a drop-down box, like a select. Automatic redirects of keyboard focus may away from a page element. Inappropriate tab order on the page, absence of visual skip links. See providing skip links in your pages. I actually don't know what that is. Sites that require quick responses. Moving right along, hearing impairments. Much like blindness, deafness can affect an individual in varying degrees. For some, sign language is a first language, so complex spoken language may not translate properly. Some inconveniences for hearing impaired would be video content with no captioning, audio content or signals with no captioning, background noise is too loud, or very complex and or obscure language. All right, so how can we as web developers accommodate these users? There's something called Aria, and Aria stands for Accessibility Rich Internet Applications. And from the W3C website, Aria provides a way to add the missing semantics needed by assistive technologies such as screen readers. Aria enables developers to describe their widgets in more detail by adding special attributes to the markup. Designed to fill the gap between standard HTML tags and the desktop-style controls found in dynamic web applications, Aria provides roles and states that describe the behavior of most familiar UI widgets. And this picture here, I think, is a really good explanation of sort of what we can do as web developers to start creating more descriptive tags, headings, alternate text, text labels, transcripts, captions, semantic markups. All these things kind of play together to provide a more accessible experience. So finally, some code examples. This one is of a form, and under the field set, we have a div that has a label for username, and then under that, the input has the ID of username. And then we have an Aria described by username tip. So under that is a div with a role of tooltip. So, and then the ID matches the Aria described by tag. And we'll actually see this later. I have a working demo of this. It's just a tooltip on a form, but it's describes to the user that there's a tooltip that will happen, and it conveys some information in case you need more information. And then on the bottom is sort of the same thing for the password field. The role attribute works kind of in tandem when semantic HTML5 tags cannot be used. So tags like div and span, they don't really describe too much about what is happening on the page. So screen readers really wouldn't have an easy time knowing what's going on with a div or a span. So the role attribute helps the screen reader identify a more specific function of a tag and thus renders more information to be conveyed to the user. Here are some general role attributes. Imagine having a span or a div, and if you have a role of marquee, then that's more descriptive to a screen reader. And then these ones act as composite user interface widgets. So they are sort of like containers for other widgets. So a menu or a tree, tab list, menu bar, get the picture. Structures that organize content in the page. So these are kind of grander. So article, stuff like toolbar, it's a little bit more general. holds other widgets. And the following roles are regions of the page intended as navigational landmarks. All these roles inherit from the landmark base type, and with the exception of application, are imported from the role attribute. So you can see some of these are actually included in the HTML5 semantics. Obviously, more information can be found at w3.org. And the attribute, so from SitePoint was actually a really good resource. Basically, Aria attributes are slightly different from roles. They are added to markup in the same way, but there is a range of Aria attributes available for use. All Aria attributes are prefixed with Aria dash something. There are two types of Aria attributes, pretty much state and property. So as you can see to the right here, we have a span, not descriptive, but we have a role of checkbox and an Aria checked, which is describing some state of true. So let's see, an example of an Aria attribute that is a property is Aria label. So off to the right in the code example, Aria labeled by opera house _1 role group. That just sort of gives more information to a screen reader. Just in the interest of time, I'm just going to glaze through these tips. You want to use semantic HTML where possible. Element can only have one role. Do not change native semantics, so don't turn a footer into a button. And you can find Aria and role in the wild with Bootstrap. It's actually all over Bootstrap. Angular has its own implementations. If you search for React Aria libraries, you come up with lots of different results. And even if you Google Aria itself, you will come up with a lot of good information. And really quick, we have the Totally framework from Khan Academy. It basically is sort of like a accessibility linter. So you can sort of get tips and tricks on how to make your code more accessible. Quail does sort of the same thing. It'll outline things that could be a little bit better. And yeah, that has been my accessibility talk. Thank you very much.